Hey everyone, this is Teresa Hegel, Executive Editor of Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI.
And this is Cassie Green, Content Director of Apparelist and Editor at Printing United Alliance. And you're listening to Branding Together, a new adventure into the converging worlds of print and promo.
We're here to bring you an engaging monthly discussion that dissects just how closely each of these industries align. Whether you're a promotional products distributor, commercial printer, apparel decorator, or a little bit of everything, our topics and guests will bring the ultimate crossover conversation.
When you're ready to bring your business to the next level, get lost in this month's episode, which is set to happen in 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new year of Branding Together. I'm so excited to start 2026 off strong. So we have a really special episode lined up today. We're going to share some details about a project that Cassie and I have kind of been cooking up over the last few months. And our guest today, Jeremy Murillo of apparel supplier Stanley, Stella, was a really big part of getting the project to the finish line. But first, let's kind of start out with our usual headlines.
Oh my gosh, 2026, here we are. And it's been a year of us doing this podcast and I can't even believe it. Because it is the start of a year and people may have been in and out during the holidays, some of my headlines might be a little bit like end of 2025, beginning of 26, but they're more reminders. So that's the approach we're taking. So my first headline, Teresa, I want to share is that Printing United Alliance celebrated a year of major advocacy wins. So again, at the very end of 2025, Alliance announced that it was a year of meaningful achievements, fueled by expanding not only the membership community and the strength of that whole, the association, but also the advocacy program, which I think is something sometimes people forget that we do. So the Alliance has championed and worked diligently to identify, provide insight and comments on, and help secure several major legislative victories, which I think is a big deal in the printing industry. So at the federal level, we really helped, share meaningful and good support on tax relief for Main Street businesses, which, as we all know, includes print service providers and probably a lot of promo people too.
Yeah.
And so, working on that federal legislative side is really important. And I think that advocating for things like that really helps our industry thrive. But it's not just on the federal level, it's on the state level as well. And so there were really some key things in 2025, particularly in New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and California, that we really worked hard on lobbying in terms of like laws and things like that. Lots going on in that article. Definitely encourage everybody to check it out, but it is something, a big headline. I just don't think a lot of people know about our advocacy efforts, so I wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important for people to know about because you guys are working on their behalf without maybe them even realizing it. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, what you got?
So again, like you said, some of these are going to be maybe a little bit older now, but I think still relevant. So not too long ago, we did a large article about the retail market has been shifting its promo spend because of things like layoffs and other struggles. So basically the gist of the story, it's got some good like data and charts and numbers for you to look at. But the gist is that retailers have been trying to maximize their spend among tough economic conditions. But that doesn't mean they're not buying promo. So distributors have been able to build success in the retail verticals through things like loyalty-driven promo programs that have like a clear return on investment. So it doesn't mean that the spend is totally dried up. You just have to adjust your approach and be a little bit more creative and maybe really prove that ROI that we know that promo has. So it is an interesting story to kind of keep an eye on one of the bigger markets in promo and how it's shifting a little.
I think that's the exact right term to use is shifting. Not getting worse, nothing like that. Just it's shifting the mindset.
Right.
And maybe being a little more competitive, having a more competitive advantage. So
right. Absolutely. What's your other headline?
my other headline, and we all knew I was going to do this. It's sustainability focused, sort of. Had to do it though, right? Because Teresa and I are the sustainability queens here. So it was, again, a headline that dropped right at the end of 2025, and that's Ryonet becomes an exclusive distributor of the Screen Algae ink. So there's a couple really cool things about this headline that get me excited. First and foremost, the main headline, Ryonet is now the exclusive North American distributor for Living Ink's Screen Algae ink, which is a black ink made from algae waste. So it's a more sustainable option, a more earth-friendly option. It replaces petroleum-based pigments with algae black, which is a renewable pigment, and it's water-based, non-PVC, free of PFAS. It is also, it's available in 2 colors, but both are Ecotech Eco Passport certified, SIPSA compliant, made in the USA. And I know they're made in the USA because they're based here in Colorado with me. And I have visited their facility, and it's really cool. So as we continue to march toward doing better for the earth, this is one of those things that I get really excited about. So wanted to make sure everybody saw that headline.
Yeah, I love that. I love that story. I love that it's getting more kind of play in the industry, and that like one of our, well-known kind of mainstream suppliers of ink is kind of signing on onto this more sustainable thing. So hopefully more and more people in the industry will learn about that product and use it, and it'll just become like the normal thing to do.
Right. You never know. All we can do is continue on the journey, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
So
what the
my
second
my other
headline?
headline is actually from our print and promo marketing brand. Um, and it's also related to sustainability. And I thought it was just kind of an interesting one to share, which I think has, value for our listeners, but also the printing market. So this is about Baby Bell phasing out plastic packaging in favor of paper for a more eco-conscious unboxing experience. So everyone knows that those little red like cheese wheels from Baby Bell, they're replacing the plastic film wrappers with paper, and aiming to save about 850 tons of plastic and 2,500 tons of carbon dioxide annually across global plants. Um, so, it's basically a part of their larger plan to reduce packaging across all products. But I love to see, people getting not necessarily creative, but just like taking a chance to get rid of plastic where they can. And if they can come up with like food safe and protective like paper options that are going to be better for the environment, I think that's a really good thing. So I just wanted to highlight that story.
100%. I love this article. Well, not only because I do love Baby Bell cheese, um, because it's like super cute, right? And delicious, but like the packaging aspect is maybe something that we don't talk a lot about on this podcast. And I think bringing to light the fact that it is a huge part of the printing industry, but there are also companies who are trying to create more food safe, more sustainable packaging. And then also on like the branding side, like this helps tell Baby Bell's story. So
Yeah. Yeah.
nice
It
little
works. Yeah.
tie-in.
Yeah. It works on so many levels.
Yes.
Um, So do you have any other news, or were those your 2 headlines?
Those are kind of our big headlines, because it's January. Obviously, we're kicking off another year of trade shows, which means ASI Orlando, which means ISS in Long Beach, and all sorts of things happening. So I'm sure there are lots of things happening in the industry that we will talk about and see on site at those shows. But hopefully, anybody listening to this episode can just connect with us in person or at the shows or whatever and share their industry news.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, before we have our guest on, I wanted to take a couple of minutes. Perhaps you guys have already noticed that Cassie and I are wearing different versions of the Branding Together logo on merch. And you might have some questions and we might have some answers. But basically, I wanted to talk about this idea I had. It was, I think, last summer or this summer, or I don't know, 6 months ago, whatever it was. I had an idea. I was taking a walk. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we usually do it in Counselor Magazine? We usually do a photo shoot. And I'm usually the one that's coming up with the ideas. Like in January's, the winter issue of 2025, We did like a sustainable fashion shoot, and that was a lot of fun. I was like, okay, I got to do something different this year, or yeah, this year, 2026. What am I going to do? So I was like, well, we've been doing this podcast. Podcasts need merch. We're trying to highlight the partnership between ASI and Printing United and the convergence of, print and promo. So what better way to do that than do a joint project where we kind of bring together all the players, the decorators, apparel suppliers, our both of our teams, and come up with this cool project. So of course had to get Cassie on board first, but she was into it. So basically you guys will see in the January issue of Counselor magazine, we have a whole photo shoot featuring 6 different interpretations of the logo. Each one, there'll be, what is there? There's embroidery, screen printing, DTF, DTG, heat transfer, and dye sublimation. Think I got them all?
You got them all. Way to
Okay.
go.
And we're going to be wearing the clothes throughout the year. We even have some hats. We're not wearing a hat today, but all of the apparel was from Stanley Stella, and all the hats were from Atlantis Headwear. And then we worked with different decorators throughout the industry to come up. We gave them kind of creative license, take our logo, come up with something cool. And they didn't disappoint. They came up with so many different ways to interpret the same logo, which I think is super cool.
Oh my gosh. And it was not hard to get on board with this project, by the way. I thought it was a fantastic idea. What better way to demonstrate the convergence between our two industries than to come up with this whole package of, content that demonstrates exactly how closely the print and promo space touch each other, especially like in apparel, right? But for anyone who is, listening to this podcast instead of watching the video version, it is pretty cool to see what everybody came up with. So I highly encourage you to take a moment, pause, watch the video version, because as you can see with Teresa and my hoodies that we're wearing today, Teresa's shows the embroidery approach, but mine shows like the screen printing approach. Same logo, same title, but 2 totally different interpretations, which I think is really cool because it demonstrates not only the creativity that decorators and even promo distributors have in this industry, but also like what each technology is truly capable of. And we're going to talk a little bit about that throughout the year as Teresa and I roll out some tutorials and as you read through Counselor's print edition of the magazine and, really understanding the techniques and what it takes to achieve these different looks. And as we talk to the decorators themselves, who are also, have shared their wisdom and insight, it's pretty cool to see how this came to fruition. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some, last minute changes, little like fires that came up. I think with any project that happens, but then you look back and you're like, oh, this all came together. I couldn't have imagined it coming together this way, but it's even better than I had hoped for. But yeah, as Cassie said, we're going to have the tutorials kind of rolling out week by week on both of our sites. And we will also have like on social media and on the sites, videos and different kind of like multimedia experiences. So, this is not and obviously we'll be wearing the merch kind of throughout the year. Yes. And so if you're only listening, then I guess you are missing out on that. I could describe to you like the stitch count and the colors, but no, you'll have to kind of come see us either on social or, find the video on YouTube or on the ASI website and just take a little gander because what they did was really cool. And I definitely our decorators should get kudos for that because they did an awesome job.
Right. And I think that was one of the goals of this project too, was to create sort of a multimedia approach where people could listen to us and the decorators talk about the process. They could see the final outcome. They could go to, Counselor magazine and see this beautiful layout of what this whole merch package looks like. They could go online to apparelist.com and read through the tutorials. I mean, Teresa, this is why I was so excited about this project proposal when you first brought it to me, because this is the best way to help people learn, both on the print side and the promo side, is to engage on these multi-platform areas where everyone can kind of see different things and they might learn something different from the written versus like the video interviews. and then they can hear the story come together on our podcast, which is really cool. So I think this is a really exciting project, and I think that everybody is going to learn a lot, not just technically, but also how to tell a really good branded merch story.
Right. Yeah. And I think I was thinking about how, there are so many podcasts and people get very creative about, or they can get, and they should get very, very creative about the merch that is available for sale or that the hosts are wearing. Cause it is funny because yes, podcasts are audio medium, but so many of them have been pivoting to being on YouTube and being on video. So it does matter what you're wearing, and it does matter that you have a good logo and have good merch that is displaying that logo in whatever way, you choose. So I think it all kind of makes sense for our podcast medium, but also for our two brands and for just our whole company, not company, but whole industry. So
Yeah. What a perfect
it all
way to
came
say
together.
we also have a story. Like we're branding together itself, like
Yeah.
this is our story. We're telling
Yeah.
our journey.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, um, it's really fun, and I'm excited that it came together and it's rolling out, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm so happy that we were able to make this happen. Um, is there anything else that you want to add about the project?
No, I think that's kind of it. Because we don't want to give away too much this first episode, right? Because there are a
Yes.
lot of details we want to talk about and dive into via our other platforms and whatnot. And I think I already said Teresa's is embroidered. Mine is screen printed. So if you are watching this, pause it for a minute and see if you can tell. Like, would you have known? Ask yourself that Teresa's hoodie was embroidered, and the one I'm wearing is screen printed. Maybe just like a little like fun test for yourself. And maybe that's what we do going forward is be like, maybe not tell people what decorating technology we are
Yeah.
showcasing that
Yeah.
month. It could be funny.
You
So
guys do a little
anyway,
work. Yeah.
could be funny. But yes, so keep coming back because we'll have plenty of other topics to talk about, but this will be like a fun little tie-in throughout the year.
Absolutely.
Printing United Alliance is the leading member-based printing and graphic arts association in North America with over 70 years of history and more than 20,000 members worldwide. We're here to support printing professionals like you with the tools, resources, and information you need to grow your business, sharpen your skills, and expand your network. Whether you're a printer, supplier, student, or educator, we've built our community to serve everyone who's passionate about the future of print. An Alliance membership is a smart, cost-effective way to stay current on the latest trends, connect with industry leaders, and give your business the competitive edge it deserves. Head over to printing.org/membership to learn more about the memberships we offer. Let's move the printing industry forward together.
All right. Well, without further ado, I'd love to bring our guest, Jeremy Murillo of Stanley Stella. They are the supplier who supplied hoodies and tank tops and t-shirts and all kinds of great sustainable gear for the Branding Together podcast. They are a European company that's been around for a while, but they're really just sort of making inroads into the US in the last couple of years. But I think they have a great story to tell. And it's not just greenwashing. They are kind of doing the work as well. So I'd love to have him on, and we can't wait to talk to him a little bit about what Stanley Stella is all about. All right, welcome to Jeremy Murillo of Stanley Stella. We're so happy to have you here today. I wanted to start out by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself. Kind of how long have you been with Stanley Stella? Where were you before? Like, what is your background?
No, I definitely appreciate you for having us on. Yeah, so I've been kind of in the supply chain industry for about 15, 16 years now, working on the blank apparel side. My career kind of started with All Style Apparel back in its heyday from like 2010 when we were located in Anaheim, California. It was a great time to be there. It was kind of the go-to shirt of the region, if you will. And so a lot of cool brands were kind of using it for their programs and things like that. So I got a lot of great exposure in that sense, working as a customer service rep at Inside Sales. Then ultimately, I kind of left that position when there was some transition going on over there, and I worked with Con Heritage to help lead their sales and kind of launch their outreach as becoming a brand outside of Ruchi. So it was a really cool thing to see that shift as the market was starting to go towards more of like a comb cotton 30 singles fabric at the time. And that was interesting enough when American Apparel was kind of in a weird transition and Next Level and Bella were also on the climb at the same time. So it was a really cool moment to kind of capture that audience that was way different from what I was selling at All Style with that open end 6 ounce t-shirt. Fast forward from there, I had a great opportunity to work with Next Level Apparel for quite a while. And so there are some really cool things that I learned from there on a national landscape, working with distributors, high profile customers, a larger breadth of product, if you will, and a whole collection range, which was very eye-opening to learn. That really allowed me to kind of get a grasp on a national network and open up my opportunities to service a different type of customer. And then ultimately I landed with Stanley Stella, which was amazing. It's such a breath of fresh air, if you will. I think us being a European company, how professional we act, the layers of people, the passion we bring from top down. It's been invigorating and kind of a cool injection of energy in my personal path. And so yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Were you always interested in apparel, or how did you kind of fall into this line of work?
Yeah, no, you know what? So I'm a millennial, first of all. So we'll kind of call that out. It's the early 2000s. We love going to the mall. Online shopping wasn't really a thing. And so I was like a conscious consumer. I was really into just streetwear, sneakers, things like that in the early 2000s, late 90s, if you will. And so I thought and a lot of my friends, fortunately, were kind of these really fun, creative guys and started some really cool brands back in the heyday, or they led a couple cool brands. And I saw this opportunity where it's like, hey, why won't I just be on the other side and supply them the blanks, knowing that I have a pretty good network of people I know and kind of start from there. So that was kind of my launching pad to kind of like have that future vision, if you will. And so, yeah, that's how I kind of got into it.
Very cool.
Also a millennial over
Yeah,
here. Also remember the
salute.
days of malls and like
Yeah,
Hot Topic.
yeah,
What they call an exennial or xennial? I'm
yeah.
the Oregon Trail generation, so I'm the right opposing guys and Gen X.
Yeah. Moon Patrol and Oregon Trail. How fun.
Oh, what a great game.
Good times. Good times for sure.
Anyway, back on our trail that we're
Yeah.
on today. So you landed at Stanley, Stella. You're obviously very excited. We can hear the passion.
Yeah.
One of the things that stands out about Stanley, Stella, is its real strong focus on sustainability. So how do you, Jeremy, define sustainability? And then the second part of that question is, what are some of the actions that Stanley Stella has taken to be more sustainable, rather than just talking the talk? How are they walking the walk?
No, that's a really good question that quite often in the US market, it could be a lot of moving parts of how to digest that answer, right? So keep it kind of plain and simple, which really historically since day one in 2012, we've always been authentic, meaning that the first shirt we produced with the founder and visionary Jean Gibert is that we've always produced organic certified cotton t-shirts since 2012. So everything we've done since day one has been fully sustainable. Fast forward today, we've evolved to a relatively large company in Europe, and we work with a global supply chain with full transparency, meaning that if you were to look up Stanley Stella and go on our website and want to get accreditation for GOTS certification, that's fully organic cotton, or GRS certification, recycled quality, recycled cotton, things like that, we offer all of those certifications available to you online. So there's no disruption to see that there's zero greenwashing, if you will. And another cool aspect is that how we define sustainability is that we work closely with our supply chain, meaning that we work directly with the farmers, the ginners, the spinners, and the entire supply chain itself as well too. So when you produce an organic cotton t-shirt, it also produces as an end result a fantastic shirt, which ultimately would reduce the opportunity to go into the landfill because that's something that would stand the test of time and last for quite some time. So there's a lot of moving components that goes beyond that. But I think ultimately what defines is our supply chain transparency, the GOT certification, and the fact that we supply and produce such a great garment. It helps reduce that carbon footprint with less waste in the landfill.
Also,
You definitely point out a couple of really important aspects there really quick. Sustainability extends beyond just what we're putting in the blanks, because that's obviously very important, because like you said, it has to last a long time. But you also mentioned you work closely with the entire process. So there's a
Yeah.
social and ethical piece of that puzzle as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's been a very big component of our success. And honestly, as a group and as an organization with our entire value partnership, I think that allows us to have that work environment, that ecosystem that allows us to create that workplace, but also the environment for our entire employees throughout the entire network to have that higher level of well-being, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you had referenced this already, but you guys have been around in Europe since 2012,
Yeah.
and have gained a following and have grown during that time. But it's only recently that Stanley Stella has been making this push into the US. So I'm wondering, like, why was it the right time to make the transition? And what kind of signals have you guys seen that the distributors, decorators, or clients are ready for what you offer
No,
in the US?
no, I think that's a great question. So we didn't just kind of happen overnight. Prior to me jumping on board about a little over a year ago, it was summer 2024 when I joined. They've already been doing their R&D for the last 2.5, 3 years. And so as the growing demand in premium quality as well as sustainability was shifting in the US market, the timing was kind of ubiquitous in a sense where, wow, actually our actions and thought process of landing here aligns with what's happening in the States as well. You're starting to see it obviously from top down. That goes beyond t-shirts, whether you shop at an organic grocery store, tech companies, initiatives to reduce plastic, even at the Starbucks level. Now they're switching over to the non-strawless cups, things like that. And so for us, we saw that growing appetite where the demand of not only a premium shirt, but a sustainable shirt was aligning together, and we cover both components. And so hopefully fast forward today, as now we're physically here and we have an office in Irvine and a warehouse in Southern California, we're starting to see that turnover in request and demand that we saw 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, like you said, there's definitely a shift happening in the
Yeah,
US. And we're a little bit behind Europe, and
yeah.
that's pretty par for the course for any sort of trend in the apparel industry. So as Stanley Stella has worked to branch into the US, what have been some of the challenges that the company has encountered? That could be in terms of, your marketing and your messaging, your branding, your storytelling, just because
hmm
US is a little bit different.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because we have these meetings every week and we see it for our own eyes, and the irony behind our brand in Europe, the success was driven that the fact that everybody was in search of a better quality garment or better quality experience. And so they turned to Stanley Stella for that. And the golden nugget was the fact that we were sustainable. But then at the same time, there are those who are looking for a sustainable shirt, but we're also premium quality. So there's kind of two paths you could take. And so for us, it's defining, okay, the US market wants a better quality shirt. And you see that demand because there's a ton of suppliers, especially on the West Coast, who are very like atelier, made in LA, garment dye, oversized. And these shirts are higher quality. They're $8 to $11 per unit. So people are willing to spend more knowing that they're going to get that retention and experience from the end user. And so for us, I think for us is we know once the customers or the end user gets the garment in their hands, they're going to feel something. There's going to be an emotional connection. Wow, this is such a great, so soft. It doesn't shrink. The color is beautiful, things like that. But I think for us is how do we digest and capsule all the sustainable elements slash stories slash facts that we have generated over the last 15 years to make it as a better appetite and easier to digest for the American market. So for us, it's how do we take all these unified stories and make it one? That's, I think, where the challenge lays today.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, the obviously there's the premium story, there's a sustainability story, but of course in the blank apparel space, like one of the biggest things is printability, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to be giving these blanks that decorators can do something with and do something well.
Mhm.
So how do you guys support decorators? And I know you guys have that in-house deco lab, so can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that and what that's all
No,
about?
I'm glad you touched on that because we're very proud of that. So we already launched a Deco Lab in Belgium quite some time ago. And what that means ultimately for everybody that's listening is that uh, we have a DTG machine, a DTF machine, embroidery, we burn our own screens, we rip our own film for DTF. So it allows us to create this really cool lab itself to really get down to some R&D and some fun creativeness behind the scenes. And ultimately, every time we launch a new product, a new color, a new fabric, it goes through a rigorous testing to understand that ultimately we are making a shirt to be decorated. That's what we do, right? So whether it's a discharge print, everything checks out at the Deco Lab for that prior to us launching any new product. And at the same time, I'm wearing this new like puff embroidery, if you will. And it's one of the things that we developed at the Deco Lab about a year and a half ago that really garnered some traction. And it really creates a good set of eyes. Like, wow, your shirts are really well decorated and very intended for that. And so what we do over there is we hired a really cool guy named Dan Bush here in Southern California. He's been a screen printer for 15 years. So it's cool because now there's like that other language in our industry that, okay, I know enough, but he knows more. And so that allows us to kind of really sell like that secret sauce and let them understand better of just how to decorate on our garment. These are the settings. This is what we recommend. Or if you want to take it a step further, you probably want to tweak this or tweak that. And so Dan is our in-house deco expert that quite honestly, I don't think any suppliers have. So it's kind of unique to have in that sense.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to meet Dan
Yeah.
in October at Printing United Expo.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really valuable to bring on
Look at.
an actual decorator to test the garments.
Yeah, and he's there 24/7. He goes on site and visits all. It's funny when he visits customers. And I'll just give you like a random tangent. I'm in sales, so I'm a sales guy, and I have relationships, so it usually works out in a sense. But sometimes you might get a customer, I might be too busy. But the moment Dan comes over there and he talks the talk of like, hey, first of all, so I'm just a screen printer. I'm here to help. Wow, talk about opening doors. Like, there's a whole new world of respect those two have when decorated talks to decorated that we kind of like control. Like, you guys go do your thing, It's kind of like go do your thing, So it's kind of funny like that.
Yeah, nothing beats peer interaction, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So obviously exciting things already happening, but now let's shift gears a little bit. This episode is January 2026. It's time to gaze into the crystal ball, as we all like to do this time of year. So, in your opinion, what do you think will really define sustainability in apparel and promo products in 2026 and maybe even just beyond that?
What will help define it? I think what consumers want is transparency and more of it. They want to know where their product's coming from. Where is the content coming from? It's kind of reminds you like that farm to table restaurant. We only source from here. Or when you buy organic or buy like organic milk, it tells you what farm it came from. So there's these outliers of other industries who are already offering that and gives you a peace of mind. I think obviously in our industry, it's such a broad range from hard goods to soft goods, and nobody really knows where this stuff's coming from. And quite honestly, we do. And guess what? We want to share it. And so for me, this year and going to next year, it's transparency. I think people want to understand what's up with your supply chain. We're working right now with a couple high profile customers who are really calling that out, like really digging into the weeds, if you will. And for us, no problem. Here you go. Like, we're connecting with all the right people. We have nothing to hide. I think more of that's going to occur as sustainability grows in the United States. And I think ultimately also kind of future vision, what we see and what I see is that beyond the fact that we use recycled cotton, recycled poly, I think recycled garments or recycled cotton pre-consumer is going to be a pivotal thing coming towards the end of the year and going into next year that also still utilize organic cotton. It's more of especially in the States where it's more like a tangible thing you could see. Like, oh, if I take a shirt in and they regenerate, it becomes yarn, yada, yada. It's like, wow, I could see it physically in my own eyes as an average consumer. I believe that's going to be in the forefront of the end of next year and going into the year after that as well, too.
Yeah, more like the circular economy.
Full circular. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like, it's one of those things that we all know that term because we're immersed in sustainability, but the average consumer doesn't. But I think they are more and more people are starting to understand what that means, even if they don't have the terminology
It's
yet.
very relatable, right? It's like, when there was thrift shops around, you go there, you buy an old shirt. That was kind of cool. You discovered this new thing. It's all beat up. It's pretty rad. So now it's like, oh, you take it a step further. That old shirt becomes a new shirt. Like, literally, that's just what it is, right? the formula is pretty simple. And so I believe that that direction is going to be very huge in the United States as well too. And we actually do that now in Europe. So we certainly see that uptick happening in the States.
Very cool.
Love it.
All right, Jeremy, this has been really great so far.
Yeah.
But before we let you go, we always have to do a fun question. It's just we don't let people leave the
I'm ready
show.
for this. What's going on?
Okay, so what topic could you have an unofficial PhD in? So in other words, it's one subject that's not related to work that you could and would give a 5-minute like mini lecture on with no prep.
Okay, so I used to be very into like saltwater fish aquariums.
Okay.
Whether it's like corals and fish, LP, like different just stuff. If you're into fish, saltwater aquariums, that was my thing for like a good 5-7 years. A lot of investment, a lot of time, a lot of just peering into the aquarium, watching your frags grow, and the right temperature, the right salinity, the right halogen lights. There's so many different setups you could do depending on what the environment you want to create. I'd probably geek out in a session and go do that if somebody asked me to talk about it in a quick blurb. Obviously technology is advanced, 15 years later, but I think at a core, fish are still fish, coral is still coral, and there's certain ways you need to have that set up. So I'd probably geek out on that for a little bit if somebody talked about it.
I love that.
Awesome.
And you know what? Maybe there is like a saltwater aquarium podcast that's going to have you as a guest now that they heard this.
The most random thing, just like, hey, there you go.
I love that.
So we always have that fun question because I
Yeah.
never I always learn something really cool about our guest.
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. We were so happy to have you on.
No, absolutely. Thank you all, and I definitely appreciate it.
All right. Well, that was such a great interview. I'm glad that we were able to talk to Jeremy today. But before we wrap up, we're going to play a game as we like to do. This one I'm calling Cozy or Cold. So this is a quick game to kind of help us stay warm and toasty during these icy winter days. I mean, of course, I don't know, you guys may be listening from Arizona or something, so maybe you already are too hot, but where I am in Pennsylvania, it's cold. And I don't know, Colorado is sometimes pretty cold too, right?
It can depend, right? We will have days in the winter that are almost 70 and days in the winter that are -10. So
you never know. But we're going to go with the premise that we need to be nice and toasty and warm
right.
on these winter days. So the premise is simple. Cassie and I are each going to share 5 activities or fashion choices or product ideas or whatever. It's a range of things. And we basically just have to give our quick gut reaction on whether these things make us feel cozy or leave us cold. Easy peasy, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right.
Easy peasy.
All right. All right. We're going to go back and forth. So I'll start with my first one. Number 1, writing or editing on deadline by candle or firelight.
I'm saying cold only because you said on deadline. Like anytime I hear the words on deadline, I'm like, bleh.
Yeah. I'm going to say cold too, because it's like, oh, the firelight, the candle, that sounds so nice, but you're really just working too hard and stressed out. So that's not fun.
Agreed. All right. My first one is kind of along the same lines as yours. Working from a cafe on a snowy morning.
I think cozy. From a cafe? Yeah, as long as you can get back home afterwards.
That was my one thought.
Yeah.
I don't-
Yeah.
It's terrible weather and traffic and people are crazy.
As long as you have nowhere to be. Like if you could just kind of hunker down there and stay in the coziness, get like a top off on your coffee like every few minutes, then it'd probably be okay.
Good point.
All right. Here's my next one. This is more, I guess, of a fashion choice that's kind of promo centric. So tote bags with long over the shoulder straps.
Cozy. I love the long over the shoulder straps. It's what I prefer. So cozy.
Yeah. I like to be able to wear it like a purse.
Yes, thank you. It feels like it's not going to fall off and like I'm not constantly like doing like the shoulder thrust to keep the tote bag on my shoulder.
Yes. Cozy for sure.
All right. Second one for me, digital planners versus paper planners for the new year.
Cold. I mean, even though I don't really use a paper planner, but I get very confused with my digital planner sometimes.
I had a hunch you might say cold on that one. We've talked about the planner and the paper and the writing before.
What about you?
Definitely cold. I love my written paper planner.
All right, so my next one is rewatching a show that you've already seen twice.
Cozy. I'm a creature of habit, baby.
Definitely cozy, and there's certain shows that you want to watch in different seasons. Like Gilmore Girls is great for the fall and winter time. Um, so that would be a great one to hunker down to and just kind of do a nice little rewatch. Even sometimes I have shows that I don't even rewatch the whole thing, but I might just watch like the holiday episode of because I really enjoy those particular ones. So really like a yearly rewatch of a show you love. There's nothing better than that.
Good point. Love that. All right, my third one, wearing matching pajama sets in public with your partner and or family.
Ugh, cold, cold. If not in public, if it weren't public, I would be okay with it at home, but I can already tell you my husband would never do that, but how about you? Cozy?
Oh, cozy because I would make my husband do it and he would like it.
Funny. All right, next one, hoodies under blazers.
Cold. No way.
What is that choice? I don't like
Yeah,
that.
why? Like I've seen people do it. Why? Why?
And also the sizing would get me because it's like a lot of times you wear your hoodie like extra large and
Yeah.
baggy. So how
Right.
how are you gonna get a blazer to fit over that?
That's all I can think about. I'm like thinking about the hoodie I'm wearing now is like it fits me well, but it's bulky. It's a hoodie. It's supposed to be bulky.
Yeah.
So like putting a blazer over this would be miserable.
No, we don't want that.
All right, my next one, brands doing limited edition winter drops.
Cozy. I love a good like seasonal drop.
Yeah, same, cozy. All I can think about is the Pillsbury Doughboy sweatshirt that dropped a few years ago. Love it.
Nice. I think it's Denny's has a website called Diner Drip, and they were selling reindeer hoof inspired mittens. I don't know what that has to do with Denny's, but it was adorable. So yeah, I think that the brands get so clever, and if they have like a season or a holiday to kind of play off of, it really sparks the imagination. And I know there's plenty of promo companies that are behind what is being sold. They don't always. It's sometimes a little under the radar, but definitely know that it's the creative people in the promo world that are fueling a lot of that cool holiday merch. Um, all right, so my last one is winter trade shows in warm locations.
I'm gonna say cozy only because it's a nice break from the colds. I don't want an entirely tropical holiday, but it's nice to have a little warmth sprinkled in.
Yeah, I was gonna say cozy because I sometimes you just need that break to get away from the snow and the cold. You don't necessarily want to become a total like what do they call it, a snowbird, but
Yes,
I don't mind going someplace warm just for a couple of days or a week.
agreed. All right, my final one, over the ear headphones as an everyday accessory.
Hmm. I'm gonna say cold. I think might just be too old for that.
Same. All right.
No, if you like it, you like it. That you do you, but that's not for me.
Love what you love. That's fine. Fair. But I am also cold on that one. So
All right. Well, this was a very fun episode, a fun game. And obviously, I hope everybody keeps an eye out for more branding together content for our merch project, but also just stay tuned for our next episode in February. We'll have more fun things cooked up for you guys.
can't wait.